Hello, good evening. My name is Akira. I'm going to be your host for this special noodle class. We are broadcasting again from Kagawa, Japan. And this is my colleague Megumi. She's making authentic udon noodles today. And so we're talking about not just like regular udon noodles, but like udon noodles that would boost your immune systems today. So let's get into the class. And so we're talking about um, well, like a better words, we kind of calling it immunity udon. And because of COVID-19 and like the winter is coming, so where we thought like it would be like very good subject to study and discuss immunity udon today. But before we get into the class, allow me to spend a few minutes just introduce ourselves first. And so, well, basically, I manufacture noodle making machines, and we've been in this business for 45 years. We make noodle machines that are designed for restaurant use and for small factory use. And these noodle machines are designed to do variety of Japanese noodles and different types of Chinese noodles, pasta, you name it, and fresh noodles from scratch. And we've been also running noodle schools for past 20 years. We have a school here in Kagawa. We have another school in Tokyo. We have another one in Singapore. We teach, everything from scratch, production of noodles, soups, toppings, menu development, even operation management of noodle restaurants. We also have customers using our machines in different countries. We have offices in Japan, 8 offices in Japan, including Tokyo, Kagawa, Osaka, other cities. We have an office in Seoul, Korea. We have one in Singapore, another in Netherlands, and another being built in New York, United States. We have partners in different countries. So we're basically a group of noodle making experts that help our customers to succeed in the businesses with crafting their own craft noodles by providing noodle recipes, training, and noodle equipment, and whatever they need to succeed in their noodle businesses. So that's about us. And so we're talking about immunity udon today, and what we're going to talk about today are, so what is udon, right? Because this is the first time actually we are doing udon as the main subject in these online classes. So let me just briefly talk about like what udon is, and the immunity udon, and what are the keys making great immunity udons. This is a broken into like 3 parts: ingredients, production methods, getting the right noodle texture, and Megumi is going to demonstrate how immunity udon noodles are made from scratch on a noodle machine. And we're going to show a few examples of immunity udon dishes that I think are going to be like really good ideas for your business as well. And we're going to finish off with a Q&A session. So if you have any questions at all, like please send them in comments. We'll be more than happy to answer them in the last Q&A session. So let's get started. And because this is the first time we're talking about udon noodles and the main subject, let me just briefly explain like what the differences are among like these traditional Japanese noodles. So when it comes to like Japanese noodles, like there are like udon, soba, and ramen. Ramen, like we've been talking about a lot in the previous classes, but like other things like other types of noodles like somen. So ingredients, so udon uses the wheat flour with 7 to 9% protein content, and with a lot of salt actually, and for udon noodles, and water and vinegar. I'm gonna talk about more on like of these ingredients for udon noodles later. Soba is made of like buckwheat flour and wheat flour, water, and the other it's like binding agents. So buckwheat itself like doesn't have any gluten, it's very difficult to make it into noodles. So we use some other binding agents like wheat flour, like or other things like kelp and stuff like that. But of course, like we can make like 100% buckwheat soba noodles, which is of course like gluten free. Ramen, we're talking ramen a lot, so like I'm gonna skip that here. And the other types of noodles like somen, they use wheat flour, salt, and water, etc. And noodle sizes vary dramatically from different types of noodles, and soup types are very similar. Like for udon and soba and somen, they're basically like based on like seafood-based stocks plus soy sauce seasonings. But like of course, like there are many variations, and because there are like some like modern types of like stocks that are used. Okay, so we're talking about this chart a lot, like in the previous classes, and so udon noodles is kind of placed positioned here, and I think udon noodles are like thick, big in size, like in thickness and width, are big. So thick noodles, need to be like we should make thick noodles soft, because like if you have to eat noodles that are thick and hard, and that would be like really bad for noodle texture, and that would be just hard to eat, right? So for udon noodles, like udon noodles are typically soft. So for us to be like udon noodles soft, we need to have protein flour with a low protein content, and we need to add a lot of water. So like udon noodles, it has like high hydration ratios, like around like between like 38% to like maybe 50, 55, depending on what kind of udon noodles they're making. And for the size of the noodles, that's like 1.6 to like 5 millimeter width. So it's like could be like really thick. And we're talking about ingredients, and the most important ingredients is wheat flour for udon noodles. So protein content, we all talked about it. So 7 to 9%, and then the harder the protein, the higher the protein content, the harder the noodle texture. For udon noodles being thick, it should be soft. So we use flour with low protein content, 7 to 9%. And ash is basically like how much minerals is contained in the flour. That higher ash makes the noodle color darker, and the texture coarse, but has a stronger wheat flavor. The udon noodle has like the image of like being white, so the kind of flour they use has like low ash content, like 0.3%, 0.4%. Viscosity is basically how elastic noodles become, like how sticky, how chewy the noodles. So viscosity is very important for udon noodles. So we have to have like wheat flour with a high viscosity value. But this viscosity value is not shown on the product label. You have to measure it on a special device. It's called Brabender machine, which we have at our factory. So if you have like some sample flour, you want to test it for this value, you can send it to us, and then we can test it for you, measure it for you. Like that's free of charge. So this chart is specially made for udon noodles, and horizontal axis, horizontal line represents the viscosity. So like it's the unit of measurement, like it's Brabender unit, so it's called BU. So basically, the higher, the more elastic. So like better the noodle texture. And the vertical line represents like protein content of flour, like more protein, the harder. But like we're talking about, flour that's specifically for udon noodles. So that's the protein content is like between like 9 to 7% on this chart. And we have we have like Kyushu name of island, like one of the 4 main islands. And Kyushu udon is the softest among the most famous udon noodles in Japan. Well, like has of course high BU value, and so it's soft and chewy. And the hardest one is Musashino, Fuji, Yoshida. Like these are the like all the names of regions in Japan, and they're very thick and hard. But like because it has high viscosity value, so it has they're chewy as well. And Shin'Uchi is the name of the old name for Kagawa, where we're headquartered. So Shin'Uchi is udon is relatively thick and like chewy and hard as well. And Tokyo, Osaka style udon noodles like kind of in the middle. I mean, in between like these two. I mean these extremes. So this is a map of Japan that like you kind of like pointing like all these like regional udon and like it also has like some sort of like soba noodles as well, like, and then like some somen noodles as well. So like there are many of them, like they're all different like in noodle texture, like sizes, other things. So many regional udon noodles, soba noodles. So we're talking about ingredients, and then so the water is very important too. So like how much water we add to the flour in mixing process to make dough, and all these like different dough with the varying hydration ratios. So three types like on the left are for ramen noodles, and these types of doughs are best to be processed in our ramen machine. But on the right-hand side, this is a dough that's over like 45% in hydration ratio, and this type of dough is like best to be processed on our udon machine. And basically, the higher the hydration for the softer noodle texture, and the shorter the mixing time. Talking about water, the other thing like I want to touch on like water is that like kind of water we want to use for maybe cooking noodles and cooking a soup is soft water. Soft water means like there's no minerals contained in it. So like minerals being like calcium, like magnesium, because when we cook the noodles, for example, like on the right hand side in hard water, that allow like minerals already in the water. So all these like ingredients like calcium, salt, and other things like especially when it comes to udon noodles, like we use a lot of salt and vinegar. So these salt and vinegar have to be released to the cooking water. But if we have all these minerals already contained in the water, right, there's less room for these ingredients to be released to. So it takes a lot of time. And in exchange, the noodle gets water. So that's how the noodle gets cooked, right? But if we cook the udon noodles, especially udon noodles, is very thick, and it takes a long time to cook it, right? Depending on the noodle size. But we have a customer like who makes these udon noodles in Hawaii, where the water is like very hard because it's a volcanic region. Then they have to like use this hard water to cook their noodles, udon noodles, and it takes them like 23 minutes to cook the noodles, right? 23 minutes to cook the noodles. I mean, but it takes them only like 8 minutes to cook the same noodles in Japan where the water is soft, right? So think about like how much more money you have to spend on gas, labor. So like there's nothing good about like using hard water for cooking noodles and cooking soup, broth. So if you have to work with the hard water, then you should use water softener like the one in the picture. And other ingredients we need to use is a salt for udon noodles. And we use a lot of salt in udon noodles. And how much salt we use is that we actually make 12 to 15% salinity level salt water and add it to the flour in mixing to make dough. So this is way beyond being salty, but like there's a few reasons we use this much salt in udon noodles. So first, it makes dough more elastic by tightening the gluten in wheat flour. It also reduces the activity of proteolytic enzymes which break the protein of wheat into shorter fragments, which basically makes dough texture like loose and soft. So when the temperature is high, the enzyme acts up more. So we need to add more salt to keep the activity down. So it also helps keep off the growth of bacteria, improves the flavors of noodles, and there are other benefits as you can see on the slide. And we may also add a little bit vinegar, which helps optimize resting processes. I'm going to talk about resting processes in a minute. It keeps dough from spoiling, control pH level of cooking. When we cook the udon noodles, most of the salt and vinegar needed are dissolved in cooking water, and then it makes the cooking water light acid. And from the research we did on cooking noodles using cooking water that's neutral, acid, alkaline, we found that the yield of cooked noodles is best when cooking noodles in water that's light acid or light alkaline. That's like pH of 6 and 10. So we add a little bit of vinegar to get these effects in udon noodles. It's about 1% to weight of flour. And in terms of ramen noodles, we add kansui, which makes the cooking water a light alkaline. Okay. So, and then, because this is the udon that boosts the immunity, like immune systems. So, we need to add the ingredients to make the udon noodles themselves kind of like immunity boosters. So we are doing it. The ways we are doing it are to need immunity boosting ingredients in udon dough, and we tested a few types of these ingredients to see how they turn when boiled. What we need to consider in making these types of noodles are how much of the ingredients needed are lost in cooking water. So same as udon noodles, release most of the salt and vinegar into cooking water. When cooking these types of udon noodles, needed ingredients are dissolved in cooking water, right? So depending on the ingredients and how they are sort of processed, and it affects the finished colors of the noodles, amount of nutrients remaining in the noodles, and taste and flavors, etc. So the table is some of the ingredients we tried and got good results, and there are definitely other ingredients you want to try needing into your noodles. So if you find some good ingredients needed into noodles, please let us know. But some of the ingredients we use, like curry, which contain like turmeric and other spices, there are some effects that we can expect from using these ingredients: ginger, garlic, chili, and black sesame, green tea. These are very good ingredients that we can need into the noodles, fresh noodles. And again, we're talking about strong immune systems and developing strong immune systems. So certain types of vitamins, minerals work well. So let's just look at some of the vitamins and minerals we should consider adding to our noodle dishes and menu items. So vitamin C prevents infections, shorten the time it stays on body. This vitamin is probably the most popular and common in many foods we come across every day. So I think it's not really important to discuss further here. Vitamin E is a strong antioxidant that helps us keep off the infection. This vitamin is critical in keeping our immune system function properly. Vitamin A also helps us fight off infection. Vitamin D can be obtained when we are exposed to sunshine. It's one of the most powerful nutrients in supporting our immune system. If it's difficult to get it from foods we eat, we should think about getting it from supplements. Folic acids are forms of B vitamins that our body needs to make DNA and other genetic materials. Iron helps our body carry oxygen to cells. It's an important mineral that affects the processes of our immune systems as well. Selenium affects our metabolism and helps boost our immune system and may even reduce the risk of some heart disease. Zinc required to produce new immune system cells, so it's also important too. So I think there are many vitamins and minerals that go well with certain types of noodle dishes. For example, some ingredients needed in the noodles we used to make soups, sauce, or oils and toppings. But we should also think about if effects the vitamins and minerals are kept intact, if they're cooked in certain ways or heated above certain temperatures. And we should study these nutrients that help keep off infections and educate our customers in order to get through this pandemic by staying safe and healthy and strong. There may be some local ingredients in your regions that are super effective in developing strong immune systems, so we should explore and study the ingredients locally available in our regions. Okay, so let's start talking about noodle making processes, and everything starts with good foundation. So we need to build good foundation by developing gluten structure in a wheat dough. And so this slide basically explains the processes that are important in developing good gluten structure inside dough. So basically weighing the ingredients, the measuring the ingredients by weight, the right ratios. This is the most important process in the building of good dough. And the mixing is very important too. So our machine mixes the dough at 60 rotations per minute, and that allows this agitation glutination phenomenon to happen. And this is basically the purpose of the mixing is basically having well hydration of the dough, so we won't have equal distribution of liquid among the dough, the flour particles. So the mixing speed is important, and addition of the liquid to the flour that is important too. So it's our mixture allows an optimal mixing process. Okay, so the mixing is important. So that's one first step in building the good dough. But after mixing, because the dough gets a lot of stress from the mixing, so we need to rest it. So we have to do this process called resting process. When making authentic udon noodles, we do kind of two-step resting processes. And the first resting process is after mixing, and what we do is that we put the dough in a plastic bag and let it sit for 2 hours at 28 degrees Celsius. And what it does is it helps hydrate in the mixing process. So mixing process kind of hydrates the dough well, but the resting process helps further hydrate dough well. And then it also degas the so it basically removes the air trapped in the noodle dough. And so when the later process with these air pockets kind of burst, that would affect the noodle texture adversely. And it promotes a better taste due to the enzyme activities. And it also relaxes the internal stress of noodle dough. So that's the effects of the resting process we look for. And this is the optimal resting line. It corresponds to time and temperature. So basically, the higher the temperature, the shorter resting time. And so it may be easier to understand this by imagining a banana turning darker faster in the room during the hot summer day than a cold winter day. The resting process matters more for dough that's high in hydration. So when we make authentic udon noodles, so again we do two-step resting process, And second resting process is after pressing process, and that's 18 degrees Celsius for overnight. And in developing gluten structure inside dough, the last process we do is like pressuring. So like we further develop gluten structure by applying pressure or force on the dough. When doing this on the noodle machine, it can be either done by, well, combined process like that's on for ramen machine, but we use a press machine on a udon machine, and apply equal amount of like appropriate pressure on the entire area of the dough is the key. And so after pressuring process, we need to rest it again, like for a second resting process. And so after we make the dough and like gluten structure, being developed like thoroughly, all we had to do is just thin it and cut it and portion it, and we cook it, the boiling water, and especially like we're talking about udon noodles, so we need to wash off the starch. There are like kind of stuck on the surface, a noodle surface, and we chill them to keep the noodle texture tighter. And but yeah, but these are the basic sort of like process. And but we have something different like today that our instructor is going to show later. So he's going to explain the method like later. Okay, and then so getting the ideal noodle texture. So what I want to talk about here is that like the size, the shape of the noodles like is very important too. So we roll the noodle, sheet the noodles to the certain thickness, and then we cut it. We cut it to get the certain width. And then when you look at the cross section of noodles, the noodle, the ratio of the thickness width should be in certain ratios. So when we cook the noodles, the noodles become turned into certain shapes. And kind of shape we are looking for is this kind of square shape with like dents. And these dents kind of carry the soup, hold the soup on the dents, in the dents. So this is the kind of shape that we are looking like after we cook them in the hot boiling water. So in terms of like noodle texture, the shape of the noodles, like the ratio of the thickness and width matters as well. So and so this is like what I have for the lecture part, and I like to get started on the production of udon noodles, fresh udon noodles. But before we go, I just wanna talk about this before we start making noodles. And so it's very hard for us to let you guys try the noodles we make during the class, and let you guys try that like noodle dishes that we like show in the class. So, but like if you guys live nearby the following locations like Singapore, New York, Amsterdam, Seoul, Korea, like please let us know if you are interested in kind of trying them out, tasting them. We'll do our best to like make them available to you guys. So please let us know. All right, so let's get started on the making udon noodles. Okay, so we have like udon flour we talked about, like protein content of like 8.5. This is 8.5%. Look at the amount of salt we are adding into the water, right? That's a lot of salt. Okay, and this is vinegar. Vinegar, right? Vinegar, just 1% to the weight of flour, and some water. So these are the liquid amount, and this is the solid ingredients. So this is the udon machine that we call Shin'Uchi machine. It has this mixer that's 12.5 kilograms mixer. Why? So it can mix up to like 12.5 kilograms of flour at the time, and on top of it, we are adding water, liquid, salt water. And the reason this mixer's maximum batch is 12.5 is that in Japan we have the flour bag, the size of flour bag in Japan like is 25 kilograms, and exactly half of that is 12.5. So you know, that's just the exact half of the 25 kilogram bag. So that's why like 12.5 kilogram mixer. And because it's a lot of salt, we need to dissolve it by adding water to it a little by little. Make sure that salt is thoroughly dissolved. And as I said, so when the temperature is high, the enzyme of the wheat like acts up, right? So we want to keep the activity of enzyme down. So we, in the summer, like when it's hot, the temperature is high, we add a little more salt to keep down the activity of the enzyme. And when it's cold, we actually reduce the amount of salt we add to the flour. So she's adding the water just around like roughly 2,000 first, and see the water is like dripping through the holes in the mixer lid to be added to the flour a little by little, and this helps with like just gradually adding like water to the flour little by little. That's for good hydration of flour. And the mixing time, total mixing time is just 5 minutes. And but you know, you want to save time. You want to save time, so she prepared the dough beforehand. So that dough is was sitting in that chamber, resting chamber for 2 hours at 28 degrees Celsius. So that's the first resting process. So what we're going to do, what she's doing now is that like she's going to press the dough to develop the gluten structure inside dough and making it firm. So this press machine applies pressure kind of evenly to the like entire areas of like a dough. And so in Japan, like in Kagawa prefecture, well, there are still like maybe quite a few udon shops that do this in old way, which is to step on it with their feet, and of course, like they lay some like plastic cover over it, but you know, they actually step on the dough with their feet, and and it's actually a lot of work, and like it's like pretty labor intensive job. So doing, I mean, pressuring, like pressing the dough this way is a lot easier actually. Yeah. So notice that she like folded the dough inwards before getting into another round of pressing. So she folded, and so that allows the dough, the other parts of the outer area of the dough to be pressured. And so in the end, like the entire area of the dough gets kind of even pressure, equal amount of pressure. So this is the third press. Right, so for the mixer making dough, she's adding the rest of the water and mix it for another minute. So the pressing is done, and so after pressing this, because the dough there's a lot of like internal stresses inside dough, so we want to rest it again. But before we do that, she's dividing the dough, like big chunk dough, into like smaller pieces, pieces that are like small enough for her to be able to like kind of sheet it tomorrow. Because we're gonna have to sheet it out, and if the dough piece is like too big, it'd be like hard to sheet it to the certain thickness. So we want to divide it into small pieces for us to be able to make it easier for us to sheet it next day. And look at that, like a layers in the dough, right? Layers of dough. And so we need to like put them into plastic bag and put them back in the resting chamber. So this udon machine is good at making noodles that are high in hydration ratio. Like so, um, you can make like udon noodles and soba noodles. You can make pasta, certain types of pasta like fettuccine, spaghetti, and certain types of Chinese style noodles, and certain types of ramen noodles. So it's very versatile, and like one thing that's different from um, ramen machine is that like it's yeah, so like the types of noodles that you can make are different. So this machine is good at making noodles that are high hydration ratio. Like we're talking about over over 45%. And so this is the dough that she prepared yesterday. And so it's very like wet, and then it has like its own like sort of like bounciness to it. So for her to be able like kind of sheet it in this machine, the dough is just too thick. So she wants to like first like flatten it, and then you can use the press machine to flatten it to make like thin enough for her to be like kind of get it through the rolling unit. And you maybe like notice that like she's dusting a lot of powder in the dough because it's very wet and sticky. So we want to like dust a lot of flour. And so she started like sheeting it, right? And then so there's like a gear shift kind of like lever on the left, and that like controls the like roller gap between a set of rollers. And so as she gets into like higher gear, that narrows the roller gap. So you kind of like gradually, making it thinner and thinner, like every round, like each round of sheeting. So it's important to like kind of more gradually thin it, not to damage the gluten structure that's developed inside dough. And you may like notice that she's sheeting in different directions. So this allows the dough to have like um, kind of like strong resistance, like when the dough is like pulled like at different directions, it's strong, like it doesn't like vape like easily. So this also affects the noodle texture as well. So udon dough, like talking about like which type of udon noodles you're talking about, but like udon noodles, regional udon noodles, or like for example, if you're talking about like Shin'Uchi udon noodles, it has certain size, sort of like range of like noodle sizes, like thickness and width, and you maybe like notice that there's like a digital display on the right that's showing the thickness of dough being sheeted, and so you can actually tell how thick the dough is. And now it's like she's folded like 2 layers, so that's like 7.2 millimeters, like 2 layers of dough sheet. So the one sheet should be around like 3.6 millimeter thickness. And so now it's ready to cut, and make sure that we dust it very well. Otherwise, like they would stick. The noodles would stick. There's front and back, and so the thickness is determined by the roller gap, but the width is determined by the cutter. And this machine uses cutter knife blade that like lifts up and down to cut the dough to noodle strands, and we can control the cut width by the speed of conveyor belt that's going to the cutter. So that's done. So look at like all these udon noodles like kind of beautifully lined up the tray, and then we need to dust them again, and we take them by the middle, the center, and kind of comb them well, and then yeah, put it in a container like that. So this is a kind of a typical sort of like Shin'Uchi udon noodle size, and yeah, sorry, these are just like regular type of noodle. I mean udon noodles. Like to make them kind of with the kind of immunity like boosting ingredients. All you have to do is just like, well, just make dough with the immunity boosting like ingredients like, you know, garlic powder, like chili, ginger powder, chili powder, and like curry powder in the mixing process. So like it's very, very easy to do it. Right. So that's how we make udon noodles like from scratch. So these are the like, so this is like authentic Persian like udon noodles, and we're talking about like, you know, making udon noodles on ramen machine, which we can do, and well, the process is like very similar to like making ramen noodles, but like the recipes are a bit different like from authentic udon noodles. And we have all these recipes, you know, database. So if you guys use a ramen machine and interested in making udon noodles, please and let us know. We're happy to give you guys some udon recipes. That's for yes, ramen noodle machine. Okay, so today's kind of special day that like so well, I think like our instructors like has some like really good ideas for your business for takeaways and retail maybe business. Let's go to our kitchen, and this kitchen is used for our noodle school, ramen school, udon school, and yes. So let me just kind of explain a little bit about this kitchen. Here we have so this kitchen is used for our udon school, ramen school, and we have exactly the same kitchen in Tokyo office, and we have like small version of it in Singapore, and so well we use like a lot of like induction cookers, and these are big ones, and these induction cookers like enable us to like cook such stocks as like, you know, very thick, dense tonkotsu broth, and we be cooking like in school, like we be cooking like different types of like broth, like stocks, in each pot like separately, so that like each student can taste how each of the stock tastes, right? And then so they can combine them later to see how combination like tastes right. So then they can basically like play around like with the different components of ramen soup, like toppings and everything, noodles, to reach their final recipes or sets of recipes. And so that's what we do at our ramen school. And we're actually doing the ramen school here in Kagawa next week. And so yeah, and we're hoping that pandemic situation will be like ease like pretty soon, so that we'll be able to like welcome you guys to our school like soon. And we're also actually preparing the e-learning courses that we're hoping to be able to like substitute some of the curriculums on the real courses that we do in our school. And so, and I'm more hoping to be able to like launch it in a few months. So for those of you who are interested in it, please let us know, and then like we'll keep you guys updated on the e-learning course. And so we have our instructor, Mr. Takeuchi, and we call him Thomas, and he's from Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, Canada, and he was so happy to have him because he speaks native English. So, and we're happy to have him like show us like a few examples of great takeout menu items using immunity udon noodles. So thank you so much, Thomas.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Thomas. I'm one of the instructors at the Yamato Noodle School. So today's topic is udon for immunity. So I will be showing you two options, two different ways of making udon for immunity, boosting udon meals in two different ways. So the first one is going to be finish at home, take a hot pot udon. So the customer, all they need to do is just heat it up and they'll have a fresh hot pot udon at home. Okay, and the second one is going to be a meal kit style hot pot udon. The ingredients will be raw, so the customer, all they need to do is just bring the ingredients together and cook it at home, and they'll have a fresh hot pot udon at home. Okay, so I'll be making these two different two ways of making takeout or delivery udon option at home. Okay, so first I'll be making the finish at home takeout hot pot udon. So over there. 西尾さん、あそこにある茹でてるうどん、一回洗ってもらってもいいですか？ Okay, so for the finish at home takeout hot pot udon, we'll be using this container. It's just a single use hot pot container, and I'm going to put all the ingredients in here, and just so the customer, all they need to do is heat it up and they'll have a fresh hot pot udon. Okay. So first of all, we'll be using udon that's pre-boiled. Okay. And other ingredients that we'll use are here: shiitake mushroom, fish cake, green onion, and this is boiled chicken, and soft-boiled egg, and carrots. So here's the pre-boiled udon. So I'm just going to take one portion of this udon, and that's just going to be the first layer of this hot pot udon. And take that shiitake mushroom and 2 pieces of this prawn tempura. Green onion. And soft-boiled egg in the middle. and a couple pieces of this pre-boiled chicken. And just add a little bit of color with that carrots. Okay, so we'll serve this with the dashi. So just like this. So the customer will take these ingredients in this hot pot container and the dashi, and the customer will pour the dashi into that container and heat it up, and they'll have a fresh hot pot udon. Okay, so this will be the finish at home style. Okay, so the next option is the meal kit style. So we'll be making two different types of meal kit style hot pot udon. The first one is going to be kimchi hot pot udon. And we'll be using these immunity boosting udon noodles. So we have chili pepper mixed into the dough. So these are a little bit spicy, and these, chili pepper, these spices are great for immunity boosting. They have properties. So this one's curry powder mixed in udon noodles. So we'll be using these for the hot pot meal kits. Okay, so all we need to do is we're going to pack these raw ingredients into the container. And I'm going to break it up into three parts. The first one's going to be raw noodles, and the next one is going to be ingredients that you need to cook. And lastly, we'll have the ingredients that you just you don't really need to cook, so you just put it as a topping. So these three parts. So the first part is going to be the raw noodle. So I'm just going to take 2 portions worth of this raw kimchi spicy udon noodles. Okay. And just put it in the container. And the next part is going to be the ingredients that you need to cook. So for this hot pot, I'm going to put this cut up Shin'Uchi. And shimeji mushrooms. And boiled pork belly slices, and a little bit of garlic slices as well. So these are the ingredients that need to be cooked. So bring this together. And lastly, the toppings that you need to, toppings ingredients. So for the kimchi hot pot udon, we're going to have the chives as a topping. And also for as a topping, kimchi, a package of this small kimchi, and also sliced cheese. Okay. So this will be the kimchi hot pot udon meal kit. And serve it with the hot pot soup, hot pot spicy kimchi dashi. Okay, the next one is going to be the curry hot pot udon. So same thing. First, I'm going to take this 2 portions worth of curry udon noodles. So this has some curry powder mixed into the udon dough. Okay. So I'm going to put this into the container. And next, once again, the ingredients that needs to be cooked. So I'm going to grab this Shin'Uchi, cut up Shin'Uchi. into the bag. And shimeji mushrooms. And boiled pork belly. Okay, that's it. So here's ingredients that need to be cooked. And lastly, the topping ingredients. And for the curry hot pot udon, we're going to put in the cilantro and some chopped up tomatoes. And this is going to be the topping ingredients. And for the curry hot pot udon, we're also gonna add in some sliced cheese as well. Okay. And for this one too, we're gonna serve it with the curry hot pot dashi. So the customer will bring these ingredients together in a hot pot at home to make their fresh curry hot pot udon or the kimchi hot pot udon. So you can change up the taste and the ingredients into your preference. Okay, so that's the preparation part of this hot pot udon. So let's actually finish off these meals as the customer, like how the customer will do it at home. So first of all, for the finish at home takeout hot pot udon, I'm going to take this dashi and just pour it into the container. And heat it up. So it's very simple. All you need to do is put the dashi in and heat it up. So while we wait for the hot pot udon to heat up, let's put in the dashi for these two different types of meal kit style. So first of all, the kimchi hot pot udon. And for the curry hot pot udon, this curry dashi, with curry flavored dashi. And let's just wait for that soup to boil. So let me just talk about how the udon is usually boiled. When you're preparing udon noodles, you usually boil the udon noodles in a separate boiling water, and then you wash the noodles, and then you bring the soup and the noodles together. But for the immunity boosting udon noodles, since the immunity boosting ingredients are net into the dough, when you boil in a separate water, all that immunity boosting properties, it's just going to be wasted and it's going to be extracted into the boiling water. So what you want to do when you're serving these special type of udon noodles that you have some special ingredients into the noodles, you want to just cook it into the soup. So you have all the nutrients and immunity boosting properties will be extracted into the soup rather than the boiling water you're going to throw away. Okay? And and also you have to change up the salt percentage. For regular udon noodles, we use 15% salt percentage water mixed into the flour. But if you're making these special type of udon noodles that you're going to cook directly in the soup, you have to make the salt percentage around 7%, maybe half of the regular udon noodles. Okay, so the reason is because you're going to cook it directly into the soup. You don't want to make the soup too salty, so make it lower the amount of salt percentage. So that's those 2 points that you have to be careful. So first, just prepare the udon noodles so that you're going to cook directly into the soup. So you have to bring down the salt percentage. So those 2 things. Okay. So finish at home udon hot pot is done. Okay. So just like this. It's steaming hot, so it's going to warm up your body, and all these ingredients, you're going to get intake all these nutrients as well. So it's perfect for the winter. So just like this. Okay, so let's get back to the meal kit style hot pot udon. The soup is about to be fully heated up. Let's just wait for the soup to be rapidly boiling. Okay, so once the soup is rapidly boiling, I'm going to put in the immunity boosting udon noodles directly into the soup and cook it for 2 minutes. And also make sure to make the udon noodles thinner than the regular udon noodles, because you can't cook these udon noodles for over 10 minutes directly into the soup. It's going to evaporate the soup and it's going to be too salty. So it's probably like half the size of regular udon noodles. Okay, I'll put the lid on and cook it for 2 minutes. So I'll just wait for that curry hot pot soup to be boiling. Okay. The soup is boiling, so I'm going to put in the special curry udon noodles directly into the soup. Make sure to mix for the first half. You don't want the noodles to be sticking together. And I'm going to close the lid and continue to cook for 2 minutes. So these spicy udon noodles are almost fully cooked. So next I'm going to put in the ingredients that need to be cooked. So pork belly, shimeji mushrooms, and Shin'Uchi. And I'm going to cook these for about a minute. Ooh. So these curry udon noodles should be ready soon. Okay, next I'm going to put in the ingredients that need to be cooked for the curry udon. So same thing, shimeji mushrooms, Shin'Uchi, and pork belly. And let's cook this for a minute. So let's get back to the kimchi udon. So the final touch. So we're going to put the sliced cheese. So 2 slices of this cheese. And chives in the middle. And lastly, just kimchi right in the center to finish off this hot pot kimchi udon. Okay, let's finish off the curry hot pot udon. So for this too, I'm going to put 2 slices of this cheese right in the center. Cilantro right in the middle, and tomato as well. So just like this. So this is how to finish off that curry hot pot udon meal kit. So you can probably, these meal kits is very simple to make, very easy. You can pre-make all these meal kits, and the cost is very low as well. You can probably make these in around $3 to $4 US. So you can probably sell these 2 portions worth of this udon, hot pot udon, in like $12 or $15. So it's perfect for the winter time. Let's check out the noodles. How the curry udon looks. Let's also check the kimchi hot pot udon as well. The hot pot is steaming hot, so it's definitely going to warm up your body. Let's also check the finish at home style udon as well.
Okay, thanks, Thomas. That was great presentation, and like I really appreciate your ideas for this home meal kits and the other days. Like so, it's really, I mean, cost you guys like few dollars. Like like he bought like all these ingredients at like local retail supermarkets. So if you, I think like local markets, like you probably can have like better deals. Like if you're talking about like kind of getting all these ingredients in bulks, right? And so that was just our first attempt, first try at kind of immunity boosting udon noodles. And I think this is really important because I think pandemic and a number of the infected like seem to be on climb during this winter around the world. So we have to be able like kind of give our customers like these ideas and offerings for us to be able like kind of help our local customers to stay healthy and strong, and to get through to be able to like get through this winter. And so by offering these type of meals to these type of products, your customers would appreciate it because that kind of tells your customers that you are really thinking about them, their health, and so it's a very good thing that you should start developing and offering your own versions of kind of immunity boosting meals and from your restaurants, from your businesses. So I hope you'll be able to do that in your places. And then like if you have any questions about like what we did today in the class, please feel free to let us know. I hope you enjoyed the class, and then hope to see you guys in the next classes. So thank you so much. Bye bye.